You are being told to celebrate. Deck the halls with immigration banners and indeed your flags. The Office for National Statistics says that net migration has gone down by 70%. Let me tell you, this is the worst statistic you've ever heard in your life, dressed up as the best statistic you've ever heard in your life. Have you wondered why net migration has gone down and yet illegal migration has gone up by 13%? In this video, I'm going to explain to you that in reality, all that has happened is that the number of people coming into the country has basically stayed the same, but the number of you leaving the country because you've had enough is going through the roof. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. I am on holiday at the moment somewhere in the Med, and I really hope that you will subscribe to this channel, but please do consider a donation to the Patreon fund, because believe me, every single day now we are hit with new legal actions that we have to fight off on behalf of you. Trust me, we're going to win. I want to lament what has happened to the United Kingdom. And I want to lament it for the following reason, that we have been told off for believing in the Great Replacement theory. Now, I'll tell you something about the Great Replacement theory. I don't believe for one second that there's been a deliberate effort by you or by me or by our families to throw out the indigenous population of Britain and replace them with other people. I don't believe that. And I don't believe that your average migrant is a bad person, or indeed that our country is made worse by people who come to the country wanting to make the country better. And I'll tell you what, I definitely do not believe that people who've come from countries in the Caribbean in particular, but also countries like the United States of America, Canada, Australia and whatever, the idea that they have made this country a worse place, I think, is utterly ludicrous. I think what we're talking about here is the number of people who've come from countries that are alien to us. Nothing wrong with being alien to the United Kingdom. There's nothing wrong with being different to British culture. The issue is when you're brought into the country. So let me give you an example. When I debated on the university debating circuit in the 90s, there was this issue with Kosovo. And Kosovo needed to be supported. And so the United Kingdom and the United States of America and others invaded Kosovo. But during that issue, refugees went to Albania, but they went elsewhere in the world. I always said, send people who are ethnic Albanians to Albania. We want people who are similar to each other to stay with similar people. Anyway, I think that is the migration debate that we've all had and we've all heard before. Let me tell you this. The reason why net migration has gone down is because of a piece of simple mathematics, and apologies if you're not into maths, neither am I, but I can make it simple. So net migration is the figure of people coming in to the country, immigrants, subtract the number of people who are emigrating, sometimes called emigrants, but mostly called expats. Okay, so that figure. Now, if you imagine, if the figure of immigrants goes up, this bit in between, net migration gets big. And that has happened. But let me tell you what has reduced this figure in between. This number. Let me tell you, almost 1% of people who are indigenous to the United Kingdom have left the country in the last year. 1%. Now you can say, oh, that's only 1 in 100. Okay, think about this. This number is going to sound small, by the way. Imagine your school classroom at primary school, right? What, about 30 kids? That means that only one of them leaves every 3 years. Correct. But after 6 years, it's 2. After 12 years, it's 4. After 24 years, it's 8. Think about that. In the time that you have, probably in your career of say 30 years, 10 out of the 30 children in your class at primary school will have left the country. That is an exodus on not biblical scale, but an exodus that is unbelievable. What is happening here is not that the United Kingdom is reducing the level of immigration. What is happening here is that you and your friends are all planning to leave. Let me ask you about what Donald Trump said, what Donald Trump's people said recently, that they were considering the possibility that you would be able to leave the United Kingdom as a refugee on the basis that you're concerned about the diminution of your rights to free speech, the diminution of your rights to a fair trial, your diminution of democratic rights by the cancellation of elections, the diminution of your rights as individuals to not be taxed to a punitive level. Imagine the United States of America tomorrow opened that floodgate and said that if you were an indigenous British person, you could claim political asylum in America. How many of us would be left? What is the population of the United Kingdom? 60, 70 million? We don't really know. 80 million? Don't really know. You tell me. Would you be looking to leave? Would your family be looking to leave? Would the number that left last year, which is a million British people escape the country, would that number be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10? I want to say to you that I have Jewish friends, and they've said that after the Second World War, the Jews always have a bag packed just in case. Now, for some people, that is a figurative statement. For other people, it's literal. I remember watching a documentary with Jerry Springer where he said that his dad always kept an old Cadillac just in case he had to escape. I've had friends of mine talking about escaping potentially to Israel. But for some people it's literal, and for some people it's figurative. But let me ask you this. How worried are you? If the bag were literal, would you pack it? Do you believe that this country is no longer, well, it's not this country, by the way, I'm on holiday, but do you believe that the United Kingdom is no longer the place for you? Are you thinking about a new homeland? And I worry very gravely about this, because when we talk about the Great Replacement, which, by the way, people are in conspiracy theory or whatever, I'm just looking at the figures. I'm not some right-wing demagogue. I'm not some extremist. I worked at the House of Commons. I went to private school. There's no point in me pretending that I'm a football lad like Tommy Robinson. I've got great respect for those people. I'm not one of them. Right? Let me ask you this question. When this net migration figure goes down because more of you have left, how is that good news for the United Kingdom? When I was a little boy, the total number of people coming into the country was in the tens of thousands. That was shocking. It is now basically 1 million people a year. And commensurately, 1 million of you have gone. How many? I mean, you walk around the streets and say, how many of you want to move to Spain? How many of you want to get out of the country? How many of you have moved out of the United Kingdom? This is the worry. And now the crackdown continues, doesn't it? The arguments that we're having. All of the good people are being now pushed out. We have survived multiple wars. We have survived multiple famines. We've survived multiple attacks on our kingdom. But I'm afraid we're not surviving uncontrolled immigration. How do I know that? Not because of what you say. You don't say anything. You can't say anything. The media won't let you say anything. I know who you are. I know who you are. I live in your house. You are ordinary, working class people, of working class or middle class, older people worried about your family. You sit there quietly and you go, I can't say this, but I agree with him. I know who you are. I've seen the demographics. And you're all thinking of leaving the country. So do yourself a big favour, like I always ask you to do. When you go to the pub this weekend, I always ask you to do this. When you go to the pub this weekend and they say, immigration's gone down. Immigration has not gone down. What has gone down is the difference between number coming in and number leaving. And that is because more of you are leaving. And if your mates at Wetherspoons this weekend, and please do go to Wetherspoons this weekend, if they say, I don't believe you, Mickey, people don't want to leave this country, then you say, are you attempting to pack your bag? What are the plans for your family? Because I think they will say to you that they believe Britain is done. And that is the reason that people are leaving. I am not as pessimistic, perhaps, as the people leaving, but I will tell you this. You know, you have to put your God first, your family second, and your country third. And if you cannot do that, then I believe that you're not a good person. So I don't attack those people who can't stay, but I do wish that most of us will stay, and we'll beat these people if we all do it. But of course, we've got to be honest about these figures, and that is the starting point. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do donate to Patriot Fund. You know how loads of you said to me, Andre, watch out. They're going to come for you. They're definitely coming for me now. And anything you can do to donate to help will definitely assist. We've got lawyers working, not just for me, but for everyone. Look, I guarantee you, if you're not in the firing line yet, you're going to come into the firing line. But you know what? They can't shoot us all. Until next time, goodbye.